When Rocky and Bullwinkle arrived at their new ranch, the Lazy J, they found that it wasn't the choicest piece of real estate in the world. As a matter of fact, the only good piece of land on it ran straight up and down.
Must have some mighty acrobatic cows on this ranch.
Acrobatic?
Or maybe they got suction cups on their hoofs.
You plumb local?
No, I'm plumb Bullwinkle.
There's no cows on this ranch.
No cows?
Well, it's not so bad being a sheep herder, Rock. Sometimes they're the good guys, too.
No sheep neither.
Hogs, maybe?
Nope.
Muskrats?
Nope.
Horses?
Nope.
Chinchillas?
Nope.
Mink?
Nope.
Platypuses?
Nope. Hold it. I'm plumb tuckered out waggling my head back and forth.
Well, what do you raise on this ranch?
I better whisper.
What?
Bullwinkle! Gee, he fainted. What did you say to him?
I better whisper.
What?
Good heavens, both of our heroes have fainted. What did you say to them?
Just told them what we raise on this ranch.
Well, what is it?
I better whisper. Worms.
Worms?
Well, I bet dog. He fainted, too.
Did I hear you right? This is a worm ranch?
A worm ranch?
A worm ranch?
Say, if you fellas would get together, you'd make a fine trio.
A worm ranch.
See? I told you.
Yes, it turned out to be all too true. The boys had traveled 1,000 miles and spent $28 of their hard-earned money to buy a worm ranch.
Yep, it's the biggest herd in these here parts.
But where is it?
Where else? Underground.
Sure enough, the boys had taken on the job of herding a bunch of critters they couldn't even see. But for the next few weeks, they were too busy to worry about it. First, there was the big spring roundup.
What's this contraption got to do with the roundup?
Only way we know where the little rascals are.
What do I do?
You jump up and down on this pogo stick. Sort of drive 'em ahead of you. Good luck.
And so our friends started out to round up their herd.
Whoopee! Hi-hi-yo, get along, little doggy.
Bullwinkle, we aren't rounding up doggies.
I know, but I just can't bring myself to sing Get Along, Little Worm. And, uh-oh,
What is
a
it?
stray is cutting loose from the herd.
After him, Bullwinkle.
Get back in there. No, the other way. And, uh-oh, I lost him. Oh, that does it. No early worm can give me the bird.
Uh-oh, now you've done it.
What I done it?
You spoke the herd. They're stampeding.
Well, it certainly looked that way, for the ground began to tremble as if there were an earthquake.
Jumping G-horse that. Must be millions of them.
Stampede!
Underground stampede. What do you do now?
In the movies, they always try to head off the leaders.
How can you head them when you don't know which way they're going?
I don't know, but we gotta try. Keep pounding on the ground.
And our heroes bravely tried to turn the leaders.
Come on, turn. Get him turned around, Bullwinkle.
I sure would if I could see them.
But eventually the trembling stopped.
Except for my knees.
And our boys knew the herd had quieted down. But their troubles weren't over, not by a long shot. For watching our boys from a nearby hill was a sinister figure, wearing, of all things, a cowboy hat and kilts. Who can this mysterious stranger be? We'll find out next time in The Last Angry Angus or Hot Scotch.
You all remember the story of Beauty and the Beast, how a beautiful girl fell in love with a beast and by her love changed him into a handsome prince. You may even remember that they got married and they lived happily ever after, for a while anyway. But what you may not remember is that they had a little boy named, Fletcher.
Prince Fletcher.
Oh, yes, of course, yes, Prince Fletcher. Prince Fletcher grew into a handsome man, but he wasn't happy just being handsome.
I want to be famous, like Daddy.
Alas, being the son of a great man, don't tell me, Fletcher, of course, Fletcher could never get any respect for himself. He tried being a soldier.
Once more into the breach, dear friend.
By the way, old man, how's your father?
He tried being a lover.
My darling, ask anything of me, and it's yours.
Good. Can I have your father's autograph?
He even tried disguising himself and doing good deeds.
Take this gold, my dear man.
Hey, you kid, where's your pop?
Prince Fletcher became so sad that he went to the court counselor for advice.
Why can't I be famous like Daddy?
Because, my boy, he was in a book. To be a public figure, you need to have a book written about you.
Oh, is that all? Well, I'll see some writer chap immediately.
And within a few minutes, Prince Fletcher arrived at the office of a writer named Scrivener.
Sordid J. Scrivener. I'm the prince.
Yeah, I met your father once.
I want you to write a book about me. An exciting book.
Right, okay. Now tell me about your personal struggle.
Struggle?
Sure. Look, like this one. 20 years a jewel thief. Written by a man who is now admired and respected by those around him.
Really?
Sure, the other prisoners love him. And here's one about a guy who used to smuggle in Scotch terriers. I call it hot dog.
But I never had a struggle.
Or how about your near-fatal illness, like this one here? How to have mumps for fun and profit.
I've never been sick.
Ever been threatened by danger, like the hero of The Monster and Me?
Well, I was once scratched by a pusscat.
Nah, it'd never sell to the movies.
Isn't there anything you can write about me?
Let's see, Hey, I got it. Now look,
Fletcher. Prince Fletcher.
Yeah, well, Fletch, how about you being a beast that turns into a handsome prince? We'll call the book, we'll call it The Beast in Me, or Like Father, Like Son.
Well...
It's my best offer.
Done.
Right. Now let's hurry. Us freelance people gotta have a quick turnover.
And in a few moments, Prince Fletcher and his writer stood before a little hut in the woods.
Winona Witch, magic spells, and peanut butter cookies.
That's right, dearie. I put in a sideline.
Well, Winona, we're here to do business.
Good. How many boxes?
Boxes. We need a magic spell.
Oh.
We want you should turn this,
Prince Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletcher, into a beast.
Didn't I know your father?
Get on with it.
Very well. Beast. Oh, yes. Boogly, kazan.
Well, that's better. Here, fella, take a look at yourself.
My, could I borrow your comb?
No time now. We gotta get started on your story. First, you gotta act like a beast.
How's that?
I don't know. You scared a couple of people. Here, try your luck on these old ladies.
Very well. Pardon me, ladies, but boo.
It's the beast!
Oh, ow, oh!
Wonderful, wonderful. What a reaction. Great.
All right, what's all this? Oh, a beast, eh?
Well, I'm not really. You see,
Move along, move along.
Ow, ow!
What a story. The whole world hates you, and yet you fight on.
Must I?
Then the best part of the story. You return to your castle, your own gods attack you.
It's a beast!
Oh, boy, it'll sell 1 million copies.
Lower the drawbridge!
And now it's time for the last chapter, the return to normal and the happy ending.
Oh, good.
But just then the writer's servant appeared with a message for him.
What? Oh, you'll have to excuse me,
Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletch. I got a new assignment. A gal named Riding Hood. Boy, what a story she's got.
But what about my last chapter?
Here's my pen. Write it yourself.
But I can't write.
And so poor Beast was left alone with no one to do his life story. There was just one thing to do. Go back to the witch and be changed into a prince again. And so he did. But wait. What are you doing?
It's my new job. Advertising manager for Winona Witch Cookies.
But if you stay a beast, you'll be a loathsome monster. Everybody will hate you.
Of course, but just think. They'll all remember my name.
It's the beast!
There, you see what I mean? I'm so pleased.
Well, our heroes are the proud owners of the Lazy J Ranch, 1,000 acres of the worst real estate in the West. So terrible is the terrain that the only thing they can raise on their ranch is worms.
That's right. We raise all kinds of worms.
Hook, cut, tape, fishing, and angle. Get along, little doggy.
And while Bullwinkle rounds up the herd by means of his surplus mine detector,
For detecting surplus mines.
Rocky has taken on the task of clearing all the stones off the North 40.
Gee, Mr. Lazy J, there must be a jillion of them.
1,008,000,000, Rocky. I counted them last July and August.
Boy, how can you be so lazy?
I work at it night and day.
Rocky started on his Herculean task. Back and forth he flashed, lugging the heavy boulders, and at day's end had a huge pile of rocks heaped at the ranch gate.
Well, now what, Rocky?
I just put up this sign and we're in the boulder business.
Rock garden kits.
Do it yourself with Rocky's rocks. 10 cents each.
Boy, that's a keen idea.
As an idea, it may have been keen, but as a business, it was a terrible flop. So in the succeeding days, the price of Rocky's rocks dropped lower and lower. Unfortunately, the pile grew higher and higher. Finally, the sign was changed to read,
Free. Take 'em away.
but still nobody bought any, and the pile grew larger daily.
Is that any relation to Dan Daly?
Bullwinkle!
Or Dilly Daly?
There's only one thing left to do.
Pay people to take 'em away.
No, listen.
Oh, I love these scenes where people whisper.
Tickles your imagination.
Tickles my ear fuzz.
Actually, Rocky's plan was very simple. He simply painted a large sign that read,
Warning, do not take rocks.
and left it on the pile overnight. Sure enough, next morning, there wasn't a boulder in sight.
Somebody even took the sign.
It's nice to know you can depend on people.
People indeed, for that entire pile had been taken by one man who now sat in a house on the outskirts of Squaw's Ankle, Wyoming, a house which was now full of rocks from floor to ceiling. And the man? Who else? That arch criminal, that kingpin of crime, that mass of pure mean...
Super Slab!
No, you're Boris Badenov.
Hello again, fans.
Tell me, Boris,
Yes, Natasha, he said, reminding everyone what her name is.
how come we got a house full of rocks?
You saw sign, Natasha. Do not take rocks. I had to steal them.
Had to?
It's in my contract.
What do we do with them, darling?
They must be worth something. Let's try and see.
So the two thieves tried their best to use the rocks as bowling balls.
Okay, Natasha, knock down 10 pins.
But the stones weren't quite round enough for that.
Oh, sorry, darling. Should I get doctor?
Of course not. Get Pinboy and set me up in other alley.
They even tried the boulders as ammunition for a huge cannon.
Ready, aim, fire.
They were a little too heavy.
We tried with different gun.
And please, darling, different gunner, too.
But where is Boulder?
As luck would have it, that huge stone was rolling downhill, right toward the main street of the little town of Squaw's Ankle.
Boris, that stone, it will crush hundreds of people.
Well, what do you know, Natasha? It's good for something after all.
Will the massive stone really wipe out the village? Be sure to see our next episode, Our Town or the Home of the Grave.
And now, here's that man who can save you money in 1,000 ways, Mr. Know-It-All.
Thank you and hello, cheapskates everywhere. Today we take up the problem of buying a used car. The important thing is to buy only the used car you know is right for you. So naturally, the salesman must be honest.
Hey, Sport, got a little sweetheart here for you.
Like him, for instance. You know an honest face like that couldn't steer you wrong. So, the first thing you do is kick the tire. That shows him you know what you're doing.
You pay for all damages. Just sign contract.
Well, I suppose it's the right thing to do.
Hey, Sport, that car you just bought is a dog. How about taking this little beauty out for a spin?
Fine, but I'd like to take it to a mechanic for a complete checkup.
Mechanic is next door.
Oh, good. This way you can never get stuck. Say, mechanic, will you check this car over to see if it's a sound buy?
Car is in perfect order. Just sign online here.
Here?
Look, Sport, no motor. You need this little baby here. Hop in and take for spin.
Well, only for a...
Yes, officer, car is stolen. But we will not prosecute if Moose pays only $4,300 for little gem.
Do I sign here?
Yes, but better first practice on this.
I thought you said buy only the car you want. Now you own 31 cars.
I do.
What'll you do now?
What else? Look like a little old lady from Pasadena.
Hello again. Peabody and Sherman here. Today we are going to visit Rocky.
And his friends?
Mountains. Specifically an elevated summit of the Rocky Mountains, 14,134 feet high.
What date shall I set the Wayback Machine for, Mr. Peabody?
The year 1806, Sherman. The year the noted soldier and explorer General Zebulon Pike discovered Pike's Peak. The Wayback took us to the base of the Rockies, where Pike's expedition was encamped. We arrived at a highly dramatic moment.
You heard me. Climb down off those rocks or I'll start shooting.
Look, General, we came with you to help discover Pike's Peak. The only thing we discovered so far is that you're a coward.
Right. We've been here 6 months and you ain't climbed the Rockies yet. Don't get uppity with me. I said I'll climb and I'll climb.
Yeah, but when?
I'll climb tomorrow.
Zebulon Pike went into his tent and we followed. Inside, we saw the general talking to a table.
All right, you Pike's Peak, you. Now you hold still and I'm gonna climb you. I gotta make it. I did. I did it!
You all right, General?
Oh, yeah.
You suffer from acrophobia, don't you? Fear of heights.
You bet I do. Well, I get a nosebleed just wearing high-heeled boots.
Then how will you ever climb Pike's Peak?
I don't know, boy, I don't know. Right now, there isn't anything that would get me up that mountain.
We put the general to bed, a four-poster affair with no legs.
You've got to help him, Mr. Peabody. According to history books, Pike climbed Pike's Peak.
He'll climb, Sherman, he'll climb. The following day, General Pike emerged from his tent to find his expedition engaged in a baseball game.
What's going on here?
It's the big game, General, and I'm afraid your team is going to lose.
Why'd you say that?
We don't have an outfielder.
I bet the General could play the outfield, couldn't you, General?
You bet I can.
Good. Here's your glove. Take your position up there.
That's the outfield?
It's a tough league. Anxious to play, and without the slightest realization that he was climbing, General Pike took his position approximately 100 feet up the mountain.
Let me know when it's my turn to bat.
A highly irregular game then took place, one in which the opposing teams kept moving the playing field in a heavenly direction. By the third inning, home plate was where the outfield had been. You can't play your position behind home plate, General. You'll have to move back.
Back?
Up.
Mr. Peabody, we just lost second base.
What happened to it?
The last time I saw it, it was falling towards Denver.
That's the way the base bounces, Sherman. The game continued, and so did the playing field. We kept inching our way up the towering cliffs. Unfortunately, at the halfway point, the game was called on account of darkness.
You know something? I've done an awful lot of moving around in that outfield, and I haven't caught one ball.
You'll have better luck tomorrow, General.
You mean the game isn't over?
Our side hasn't even been up to bat. Thanks to the darkness, General Pike had no idea that he was 7,000 feet in the air. We slept well. That is all but Sherman. Energetic boy that he is, he tossed and turned all night, much to the concern of the general.
That boy's keeping me awake. I better sleep somewhere else.
So saying, he and his blanket migrated to the brink of a yawning chasm.
Man's got to get a good night's sleep if he wants to play heads-up ball.
And wouldn't you know that dawn would break just then?
Yep, ain't nothing like a good heavens. What am I doing up here? Oh!
Being a light sleeper, I awoke just in time to rush over and grab him before he toppled over the edge.
You tricked me! This was all a scheme to get me to climb Pike's Peak.
There was no other way.
Well, you got me halfway up. Now what are you gonna do? I'm too scared to go any further.
Well, it took but a moment to solve that problem, and 4 hours later, Zebulon Pike had scaled Pike's Peak.
How did you do it, Mr. Peabody? How did you get him to climb?
He never knew he was climbing, Sherman. Take a close look at those glasses he's wearing.
Somebody painted a picture on the lens.
Not somebody. Peabody. It's a picture of Death Valley, which is situated 280 feet below sea level.
I get it. No matter where he looks, he thinks he's in Death Valley.
Water. Water.
Get the general some water, Sherman. Oh, and while you're at it, buy some food for us from the men.
Buy some food? Won't they share some with us?
The general and his men are notorious for being stingy. Come to think of it, that's how the word was coined.
What word, Mr. Peabody?
Pikers.
left our story last time, a huge boulder was rolling downhill toward the town of Squaw's Ankle, Wyoming, followed closely by Boris Baranov and Natasha Fatal.
Natasha, boulder is gaining on us.
We couldn't stop it anyway, Boris.
Who wants to stop it? I just want to be there when it hits.
Then why not take shortcut, darling?
Natasha, are you forgetting who is brains of this outfit?
Sorry, darling. What do you want to do?
We'll take shortcut.
Oh, Boris, you've done it again.
A little way ahead, the villagers were all unaware of their terrible danger.
Dagnabbit, Calvin, nothing ever happens in this here town.
You're so right, Durward.
Hey, you fellows, big news.
What's that, Basil?
Harry the Hermit's in town for his annual haircut.
Oh, boy!
Hot Ziggy!
Do tell.
Well, 23.
Yes, in Squaw's Ankle, even a haircut was a big event. And so in a few seconds, everyone had dashed into the barber shop. As a result, the huge boulder rolled harmlessly down the middle of a deserted main street, and when Boris and Natasha arrived on the scene...
Phooey, there's nobody here to get run over by boulder.
Oh, yes, there is, darling.
Wonderful. Who is it?
Ah.
Oh, boy. Run for it, Honeybones.
Run for what?
Run for your life.
And the two villains raced down the street as the mighty stone rolled after them.
In here, Natasha.
Quickly, the terrified pair dashed into a nearby building, which just happened to be the sample room of the government assay office.
Brace yourself against door, Natasha.
Right, Boris.
You sure you're bracing, Natasha?
Let's face it, darling. This thing is bigger than both of us.
It certainly was, for the huge stone left a trail of wreckage behind it. Samples of gold, silver, uranium, and just plain dirt. The assay office was a shambles, and so was Natasha.
Well, Boris, Boris, where are you? Come in. Boris, is that you?
You were expecting maybe the Tin Man?
In a little while, the villains had caught up with their rolling stone. Boris looked at it closely.
Nope.
What is it, Boris?
Just as I thought. No moss.
But that stone had gathered a lot more than moss, for in rolling through the ore samples, it had picked up bits of every precious metal known to man. And Boris had picked up something, too.
A lump on my head.
And an electronic analyzer.
Why did you steal analyzer, darling?
Best reason in the world.
Why?
It wasn't nailed down.
But just then, the analyzer began to act very strangely.
Hey, what's going on?
You have it pointed at stone, darling.
And look what it registers, Natasha. Gold.
Silver.
Copper.
Uranium.
Malibit. More gold.
Boris, this rock is worth a fortune.
And what's more?
Yes.
Plenty more where that came from.
On ranch that belongs to Moose and Squirrel, right?
Wrong. On ranch that used to belong to Moose and Squirrel.
You mean?
I sure am. Come on, Natasha.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
I just knew he'd say that.
Rocky and Bullwinkle were just finishing the spring roundup of their underground herd. For the Lazy J, you remember, was really a worm ranch.
Boy, that was a tough job. Sure glad it's over.
Over. All them worms got to be counted and branded.
We gotta count 'em.
Careful like, too.
Gee, we're gonna need some help.
But who?
Hoot, man, allow me to introduce myself.
Hokey Smoke, who are you?
World's only Scotch cowboy.
A Scotch cowboy? What's your name?
What else? Black Angus.
Uh-oh. Don't miss our next episode, The Big Countdown, or Tally in Our Alley.